Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, the show where we dive into how digital marketing agencies are using paid media to drive real growth for their clients and for themselves. From planning to ROI and everything in between, we uncover the strategies, stories, and systems that set agencies apart. Each episode, we'll talk with agency leaders who are innovating with paid media, scaling their businesses, and delivering results that matter. Whether you're looking to expand your services or sharpen the edge of your current offerings, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, where we sit down with marketing leaders, agency founders, and growth-minded innovators to break down the strategies and mindset shifts shaping modern marketing trends today. Today's guest is Madeline Hilliard, a seasoned advertising leader and the director of advertising and project management at Grayscale Marketing, where she drives strategic paid media campaigns and helps brands scale impact through thoughtful planning and execution. Welcome to the show, Madeline. Can you share a little bit more about your work over at Grayscale?
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. So at Grayscale, we do a lot of different things. We work primarily with live events. So a lot of music festivals, concerts, fairs all over the US. And we are owned by Romeo Entertainment Group, which is a talent buying agency. So we have just this great relationship with a bunch of different live events, and we get to do the marketing for those.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What an interesting and unique niche with the live events, fairs, and festivals. So how did you guys land in that space, and why has staying niche been such a strategic advantage for your team?
Great question. So I believe it all started with our founder, of course, and he saw in the music industry, there's just so many areas that you can do marketing. There's really a need for marketing on all levels. And I think he saw the need for us to help these events that just don't really know what they're doing. They're great show promoters. They know what they're doing in their strengths, but they just need some help with marketing. And so Romeo Entertainment Group came along and saw what Grayscale was doing, and saw that they have a need for these events that they work with and have relationships with to have a marketing partner. And so when we became a part of the Romeo umbrella, it was just really exciting because, like I said, we got to connect with these different events all over the US. And I really love that we get to work under Romeo and with their team, because their team is super knowledgeable. So we come from we are really great at the marketing side, and then we have this great relationship, and we share an office with the talent buyer for the event, who has all of the knowledge of why did we book these artists to play at this event and this demo. And then also under the umbrella, we have CEG, which does sponsorships. So it's really like you can come to us and what do you need for your event? And we can provide it through the different elements that we have. And so I really love that we get to have that partnership, and then also work strategically within our strengths to make sure we're serving our client well, not just on one area, but all the areas that they might need.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. You work closely with the talent buying teams, the artist management, but would you say your actual client is the promoter?
Yes. So
Yeah.
the promoter is our actual client. So the way I always describe it is, you'll see, let's say, Tim McGraw at a festival. My the talent buyer under Romeo Entertainment Group is the one who will book Tim McGraw to play at the festival, but the festival is the one that we are really serving as our client. And then I will work with the artist team to make sure that we're promoting the festival, but also the artist has a brand to protect as well. So I work with their team to make sure that we are aligned and supporting each other, and that we are really using their brand to help our brand, but also us to help them as well. So it's just a really great partnership that we get to have.
Yeah, that's got to be so many details too, working
Lots
with
of detail.
the parameters for the event, the parameters for the artist, and making sure that that is a lot of details you're having to manage there and execute on. So kudos to you and your team. I mean, that's huge. Um, so live events, gosh, they are high stakes. So with no hard date and no, or well, usually there is a hard date, right? And there's not a lot of room for error. It's not like you can roll over your promotions into another season. So how does that pressure influence the way that you approach your paid media planning and execution for those events?
Great question. I am a deadline person. I'm a planner. So I personally, as the detail oriented one that makes sure that all the things
Yeah.
happen, I really like knowing, like, this is my goal. This is where we want to get. I always talk with my clients of what's your break even? What is the goal of how many tickets we want to sell? Obviously, we always want to sell out, but I want to have a sellout goal, a
Yeah.
goal for break even, a goal for we'll be happy at this number. And then I plan KPIs for that. Of course, the pressure of the timeline can always be challenging, but what that really informs me is, where do I put my money? What is going to give
Mhm.
me the fastest return? Am I putting most of my money in an awareness? Am I trying? I always want to have some sort of awareness play, of course, but sometimes it's like I might just need to push to conversion a lot faster. So I look at the timeline, look at the goals, and then just figure out where's the best way to spend our money based on the budget we have and the timelines we have.
Yeah, you also mentioned previously about having a fully integrated marketing approach. So
Mhm.
rather than a cookie cutter model, what does integrated really mean in your world, and specifically with festivals and live events? Like, what does that look like for you guys?
So I love integrated marketing. It's a lot of the reason why I landed in marketing. We work mostly on the digital side, so a lot of social media marketing, keyword-based marketing in Google. I will work with radio stations, we'll do billboards. Sometimes there's even a local TV station. Most of the time, because of the changing trends, I put anything that would have been TV to CTV or OTT. I really like specifically with festivals, what's different is you don't always see the big TV spots during the big special event that's on TV. Yes, you could do that, but that's not always the best way to spend your money. So I like to look at what is the best way. Now influencers are a big deal. So I
Mhm.
really look at really everything beyond just my paid. Well, even though my advertising role, I'm really looking at the paid media, I'm also looking at what are some collaborations we can do? What are some boots on the ground things we can do? Is there a local restaurant or pub that we can partner with? It's really looking in the digital side, but also what's some traditional or even just guerrilla marketing that constantly is changing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like you said, you're based out of Nashville, so you get like a front hand or first hand experience at, like you mentioned, bars or restaurants or places you can go. I think that's I always think of Nashville just being such a fun music place, hub. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. We're very fortunate. We have something going on all the time for sure.
That's awesome. So kind of going back with the paid media side, there's so many different things you can do. I know that's a big part of it, along with some of the more like original things you can do. So how do you decide which channels to use for your events? Like, have you noticed any that tend to perform better for live events, and how do you decide where you allocate your budget?
Great question. I would say I always am looking at the demographic. Where are we locally? Something that works in Nashville, Tennessee might not work in a county fair in Nebraska. So I have to first look at, where is my event? Who are the types of people? Am I looking at more white collar or blue collar people? How much are my tickets for this? That indicates a lot of things. In general, I would say I put most of my money towards social. Meta, I really like that I can get very granular in that ads manager in there, and I can very easily target the fans of an artist. I can get access to their page to run a dark ad from their page. So Facebook and Instagram gets in general, probably a lot of my money. TikTok, I think, is one that I'm in 2026. That is one that I'm putting more money behind than I have in the past. It's been an ever growing budget, if you will. But with TikTok, it's just continuing to, I don't see it being something that we don't need to ignore it. It's something that everybody is on and they're spending a lot of time there. I use a different strategy with the type of ads, but I am putting more money behind it in TikTok. And then Google is always a strong thing. I don't put maybe as much money behind Google ads as some people. I tend to do more of a performance max instead of just a dedicated YouTube. This is just general. Of course, it
Yeah.
depends based on the event. But I would say a lot of mine goes to social, and then depending on the demographic, I might put more towards TikTok or even Snapchat, or I've done Pinterest ads in the past. It really just depends on the nature of the event.
Gotcha, gotcha. I know we had kind of chatted a little bit about there are instances that you guys use preferred partners
Mhm.
for certain things if you're looking for programmatic and CTV, for instance. And we had kind of talked about like, that transparency, whether you like to white label or use partners and say you use those partners. So like
Mhm.
it sounds like that's a pretty intentional like how does that benefit you and your clients, when choosing to work with partners?
Great question. I personally, well, as a team, we value transparency. I don't want to be the person that's like, jack of all trades, master of none. I like to think that we're a master of a lot of things. Uh, and I know what I am not as much of a master of. And so that's when I call a friend, if you will. And I always want to show my clients of, hey, here's some relationships. This is not just me being great
Mhm.
at everything, and I wanna be transparent with them, and what I really appreciate about the partners that I've taken a lot of time. It's not just, "Oh, here's someone that emailed me and I talked to them one time." These are people that I have vetted, people that I trust, people that I've gotten great data from and have seen success with and built relationships with, and so I like to go to my client and say, "Here's an option for you," because they might be weighing it out with a local, um a local rep for something else,
Yeah,
or a local
yeah.
agency that does billboards. I don't know, um, or CTV. It's not normally billboards, but I really like to just provide them with options. I know my strengths, and I'm not gonna try and pretend to be something that I'm not, and I think the clients really appreciate that. And also, it's normally things that are not in our typical scope of work, so it's not something
Yeah.
that is in the package. We just provide it as a, consultation and just to serve them well.
Yeah. When I think you and I have both been in the business a long time, you do build rapport with your clients. You do build those relationships. So they do ask you your opinion on things. And so I'm sure it's nice to have different things in your back pocket and also to share things from a very like this isn't going to help me per se. This is really for your
Exactly.
benefit. So
Exactly.
I think that's so important. Yeah, I mean, be surprised the things some of my clients ask me about that have literally nothing to do. Like, what do you think about this? Um,
Right.
so,
Right.
um, yeah, I'm curious. Are there any like marketing mistakes that you see new events making? And how do you help them to avoid those things?
For sure. I mean, it's so easy. Like I said earlier, their strength is setting up the event, and they live in it every day. And I think the big thing is often events or the people behind the events, they're so excited about it because it's in front of them all day long that they forget that everyone else doesn't know about the event yet. And so we have to drum up that same excitement that you're feeling to the general public. So I think, a big mistake sometimes that I see is they book a great lineup and they forget that they need to also tell people about it. And
Yeah.
so that's where we come in and we're like, okay, so we need a budget for marketing, and people need to know about your event. And that's the great thing with Romeo. They talk about those things with their clients,
Yeah.
whether we're we are going to do the marketing for them or not. But I think that's really the biggest challenge that I see is you're excited. I want to get everybody else just as excited about it, but because they're not sitting right in it and looking at it every day, they just don't know. And so I think that's the biggest mistake. I don't want to say it's a mistake, but it's just kind of the biggest reframing we have to remind people often.
Right, right. As I understand, you get to attend so many events firsthand, which is really cool. So being exposed to both the marketing side and the operation side, how do you feel like being able to be a part of that makes you a better marketer? Or do you feel, I mean, I would think that you probably have a lot to offer because of your experience.
I love that question because it can sometimes, especially if you look at my Instagram, it's like, oh, she's just out having a good time. No, I'm actually taking a lot of notes. I'm learning a lot because, yes, I'm in the back. I'm posting on social media. I'm getting the inside look of what's really happening behind I don't want to say behind closed door, but behind the gates.
Yeah.
But I really want to see the fan experience because being at the event helps me for next year, helps our team for next year
Mhm.
know, oh, we didn't, especially those first year ones, we didn't know there was going to be a really cool booth to do whatever. And
Yeah.
seeing the different activations, seeing that experience. And for me personally, because you can be at a desk punching, numbers in on and an ads manager or, being on a call, sometimes it's easy to just kind of forget, like, why are you doing this? And so I love those moments of being there and seeing the memories being created for people. Because that's really what motivates me as I remember I'm here serving my client, but I'm also helping people. I'm connecting them with the right people that can go and make a really great memory. So I love being there. I think it helps us to, one, obviously see the practicals of what are some other things that we could use for next year. Not only am I capturing content to use, but what are some angles maybe we could take? And then also it helps me as a fan myself of like, what would I want to hear about
Yeah.
this event? What would get me excited about the event? So I can create those things without being there, but there is something special about being there and you just know what
Yeah.
should we talk about.
Yeah. I love that, being able to create memories for people,
Mhm.
make connecting those dots from the everyday to what it is you actually do, which I think is cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I remember, there's gonna be people on a lineup that maybe are not my jam. They're not the people that I would listen to
Right.
artist-wise, but I just remind myself, like, this is someone's favorite artist. This is someone they're gonna have a connection with this person when they're on the stage or this band, and so how can I find those people to let them know? And it could be I know we have some events that it is a annual tradition that people take their entire family to every year. We have some that it is a bucket list item. And then we have some that, they're new and people go and like, this is so great. I want to go next year. So how can I help make those family memories, those traditions, or, you know, I've seen someone get engaged at an event,
Yeah.
how these are big moments for people, and we get to be a part of it just by, our little piece of, "Hey, this is happening, you should be there." And so I I just look at those big picture things, and it gets me excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it's a great reminder to me. I think we all can connect the dots, whatever industry you're in. Like,
Mhm.
it's helpful to like kind of take a beat and look
Right.
around. Look around
Right,
at what you're truly doing.
it is important to somebody,
Yeah.
and that,
Yeah.
I think, is really what is special about what we get to do as marketers.
That's awesome. So, with consumer behavior continuing to change, I mean, it changes all the time, right? Marketing changes, everything changes. How has Grayscale adapted strategies to account for changing user behavior? So, privacy things, tracking things, limitations, cross device experiences. I mean, things are always changing. That is life, right?
Mhm.
So, what are you guys doing?
Great question. I mean, there are so many different things that I wish there was an answer to fix it all. I I always make sure I have tracking set up pixel tracking, but I can only give it so much, like you said, from privacy with that. So I look at workarounds as best as possible. I want to make sure that we are, use analytics a lot. We use a tool called Placer AI to be able to go back and look at the types of people that are at our events that we can then target. We really have a lot of different things in play, and then with the rise of AI, we've really embraced AI as a company of how can we use this? We're not just AI in everything, but how can we use this as a tool to inform and to help us? And so, I haven't quite found the exact solution to tracking through AI, but that's something that I'm looking at closely, and I wanna not just be a let someone else prove it to me. I want to, as a team, we're very passionate about making sure that we are being innovative and working ahead. And so keeping up with the changes, something that we are constantly looking at and constantly thinking about. So user behavior is changing. I think that affects the way that we advertise. It affects the types of ads I'm using. Am I looking more at UGC? Am I doing short stuff? Am I doing long form? There's just so many things that's constantly changing that we're keeping up with, and it changes by the day.
Yeah, and probably by the client, the type of client, type of
Absolutely.
customer, type of everything, right? There's so many things to look at. So, for agencies and marketers looking to elevate their paid media game in 2026, is there one emerging trend or strategy you believe will be most impactful this year?
Oh, that's a big one. Most impactful. I think this year I'm seeing, and I've been seeing it over the last couple years, but this year is the year that I think people are looking for authenticity as much as AI is a powerful tool. I do think there's something where people are I'm seeing online, they're looking for, "Is this real?" Every time I see a video
Yeah.
that's, outlandish, like, "Is this real?" And so I think there's something to say about really not it's a kind of a merge of authenticity, influencers, we have some brand ambassadors we have for a couple of events. It's that user-generated type content of how do we get people to see themselves at an event?
Yeah.
Is the girl next door gonna be there? Is it too flashy of the people that I'm seeing? Because that's not me. Or is it, can I see myself there at the event? So I think there's a storytelling that we really need to use nowadays. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing it in advertising and I'm really loving the way that it's coming through. And so I get excited because I see opportunities to how do we show authenticity, but then how do we also use the tools and use AI and use real people and how do we merge it all? And so I
Right.
think there's a trend of really like showing authenticity, showing how we can be different, like set us apart, but in a relatable way through the noise of everything.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, there is a place for everything, right? And how to use it best. So, is there anything else you would like to share? Anything we may not might not have covered on this that is just burning in your no pressure.
Burning, burning.
Yeah.
Uh, one thing I would add to the last question is I think video content is king. I think there's a place for sure for static graphics. We use them in our organic and in our ads but it is really the video, I think, is where things are headed, and it's if like, right now, we'll see if it's like this next week, but right now, TikTok is 7 seconds, that's what you wanna get, and so I think it's the getting in front of people and getting your information out as soon as possible, but in an authentic way. So I would add that to that last question. As for just general things, I think as marketers, it's easy to get really caught up in the to-do list. But like I was talking about earlier, I think it's the why do we do it and why do we love it? And maybe some days you don't always love it, but at the end of the week, I heard someone once say, you don't have to love it every day, but you have to love it at the end of the week. And I think those are great words to live by because I know it can be hard, but then I always have to sit back and remind myself, like, why do I do this? Why do I love it? Because I really do love it, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
That's so good. That is so good. Well, thank you so much for joining the show today. And if you would like to find out more about Grayscale, you can log on to grayscalemarketing.com, or you can follow them over on LinkedIn. And thank you to everyone for tuning into today's episode, brought to you by Exact Digital, your partner in performance-driven media across programmatic, CTV, paid social search, and more. Let us know how we can help you, and have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me.